Welcome to the Get Real podcast. I'm Austin, your host, and today we're going to be talking about Markelle Fultz and what are his options. It sounds like he's going to be moved, but we're going to break down some options on where he may be traded to. First, I'm proud to announce that I have my first sponsor. It's a brand new sports amino app called Daily Sports Amino. It is a growing community with great leaders and sponsors. They reached out to me personally saying, hey, they like to brand my content on their site, so I would like to give them a little shout out, let them know that I appreciate their work, appreciate them supporting me. I'll leave a link in the description of this video so you guys have a chance to check them out. So let's get into it. We all know and we've all heard that Markelle Fultz, he's likely being traded. He's kind of been out the last few games because he's trying to work on his shoulder, get second opinions, yada yada. So we've heard a multitude of rumors, so let's kind of break down what might be the best fit for him. I like to start off with the Phoenix Suns. Recently, outside of the Cavs, they've been kind of more the aggressive team looking to trade him. Now, there is one condition when each of these teams try to negotiate a trade for Fultz. It's that Fultz is completely honest about what is going on with him, what is going on with his shot mechanic. I guess what they're wanting to hear is, hey, if it's just something in your head that's keeping you mentally blocking you from getting that shot down, just let us know. Quit blaming your shoulder, quit blaming your wrist, all that shit. Just let us know. Be straightforward with us. Now, if it is a shoulder issue, that's a completely separate problem that needs to be diagnosed. But I think some of these teams are under the impression, I think it's just in this kid's head, but they want Fultz to be up front with that. And that's smart, because before you trade for a guy, you kind of want to know what's going on in his head, right? So what would a trade between Markelle Fultz and the Phoenix Suns looks like? Well, there's multiple options. You can just do a straight-up trade, maybe add a late first-round pick attached to the expiring contract of Trevor Ariza. That will give Philly some depth and some shooting, which they desperately need. If not for him, you may look at a TJ Warren. Now, that'll be up to Philly if they're willing to take his contract. Now, people might say, well, TJ Warren's too valuable. He's a good shooter for them. He's a good stretch fourth for them. My problem with that is, okay, maybe TJ Warren is too good to trade for Fultz, but what is Ariza and TJ Warren doing for this Phoenix Suns team right now? Because right now they have like 4 or 5 wins, so you really can't say that talent is helping them win. And if you're going to lose Ariza in free agency anyway, or you can just get rid of some cap and pursue a better free agent, you might as well trade TJ Warren or Ariza. Give your other rookies, Bridges, who you picked up in the draft, who you traded for in the draft, I might add, and Josh Jackson, give them some more minutes. It's time to. You're not competing for the playoffs, man. I know they tried to sign Ariza for a better chance to compete. It ain't happening. So it's just time to move on. Get your point guard. Who knows? Maybe you can make it work, right? Another team would be the Orlando Magic. They are starting DJ Augustine, and I like Augustine. University of Texas kid, played there for a little while. He's a backup point guard at best, and maybe half the league is probably a tertiary level, third string, point guard. I like his stuff though; it's not bad. Now, a trade with Magic might consist of some sort of combination of Jonathan Simmons and maybe Terrence Ross. One or the other, or maybe if you can package both just to get rid of Ross's contract and get Ben Simmons off the books. Now, Ben Simmons, I think, is only guaranteed about $1.6 million. I want to say about $2 to $3 million next year. Don't hold me to that. But even though Simmons is not having the greatest shooting year, he's shown that he can shoot from the outside, good at handling the ball. Terrence Ross, a decent 3-and-D guy. He can help most teams in the league. Either way, that adds some depth, and hey, it might give Magic their future point guard they can work on. Even if it becomes average, you need a point guard, point blank, because the last few point guards just have not been working out. They didn't even try to get Isaiah Thomas. So now it's just time, give Fultz a chance, get rid of players that, you can give better minutes off to, whether it's Jonathan Isaac or what have you. It's just, Simmons not giving you much, and neither is Terrence Ross. Might as well take a risk on Fultz. You're not going to the playoffs. You're going to be meddling in the lottery. They've had a few good wins, don't get me wrong, but they're also rumored to trade Vucevic, which also implies, hey, we know we're not going to the playoff. Might as well trade Vucevic, give Bamba more minutes, develop that youth, and just see what happens, right? So here's a few other options. New York, and now there's been no rumor tying New York to Philly for Fultz. I'm just speculating here. Frank Ntilikina has not been the guy that I think New York was hoping when they drafted him. He's a solid defender, but offensively, he's kind of a wreck. And then they got Moutier, and then they got Trey Burke. They're going through this rotation of like 3 different point guards, and none of them are really showing signs of being the guy. I think Ntilikina actually grew a few inches. I think he's closer to 6'6" or 6'7". If he develops any sort of jump shot, I think he's better suited moving to the 2. Because I don't know if you want Tim Hardaway as your long-term option at the 2 anyway. I think you'd either trade him while you can open up some cap, or just get rid of him entirely. Just salary dump him. So you could theoretically keep Ntilikina, move him to the 2, and trade for Fultz. It wouldn't take much. Maybe they can find an expiring contract. I would like to think New York is taking a look. Now, as we said before, the Cavs were initially the first team making that offer, and it was looking like there's going to be a trade for Kyle Korver. But then, as we heard yesterday, Kyle Korver was traded, and they got a player on an expiring contract and 2 second-round picks out of it. So I don't see what else really the Cavs can give in terms of shooting that Philly would want. And it's just, I'm sure they might make something happen, but it does not seem likely at this point. Lastly, the one team I kind of want to look into is the Washington Wizards. Now, I've made videos, I've talked about it ad nauseum with people on here, who I'm live streaming to, what the Wizards going to do. I know they're kind of on a comeback mode right now, winning the last few games. I'm still under the impression they need to blow it up, or at the very least get rid of John Wall. If you're going to start doing that in earnest, you might want to look at trying to get Markelle Fultz. Now, here's a scenario that might happen, and these are the rumors I've been hearing. Markelle Fultz, Zaire Smith, I think that Miami 2021 pick, and I forget who else, like Wilson Chandler, I think they're going to throw in to make the cap make sense. Something along those lines, right? So they're already kind of making trades. Hey, if you're trading Bradley Beal, we want that. And Zaire Smith, Fultz, that's not a bad set of assets. And who knows what that Miami 2021 pick will look like, because right now they're just kind of like, at best, Miami's maybe an 8th seed. They've been injured a lot. Who knows what's going to happen with them in the future? They might be a really good lottery team in 2021, and that pick is unprotected. So that might be something to look into if you're serious about blowing it up. I don't think Philly would take back Wall, just that contract's abysmal, and they have Jimmy Butler in that locker room. I would not want to throw John Wall in as well. So if you really were looking to say, hey, we're done, which I recommend the Wizards really look into, that team is just disastrous. And even if they somehow bring it all together and make it kind of a mini run in the playoffs, maybe somehow make it to the second round, who's to say this drama that's been fluctuating on and off for 4 or 5 years now wouldn't just happen again next year, right? There's no point. This team's reached it, because now that LeBron's gone, the East is actually deep. It's not just like the one bad wolf that was LeBron. Now you got Toronto. Boston's eventually going to get it together. Indiana's kind of a dark horse. The Bucks. I mean, there are other teams. Philly, obviously, the team I mentioned before. That's 5 teams now that are really, really good. I like Indiana a lot just because of their depth, and they're really a really tough team. So that'd be Indiana probably at a 5th seed. If you're lucky, you might make the 5th or 6th seed, and I think that's kind of pushing it, especially after such an abysmal start. So, I mean, I would really consider blowing it up, getting Fultz and Zaire Smith, and I like Zaire Smith. He was before that nasty injury, which again, Philly's rookies getting injured, I think there might be something going on there. I wouldn't know what exactly that would be. But he was a really great-looking prospect coming in, athletic as hell. He's working on his shot. He's a dog. He's got a lot of fight in him. So getting those guys and that potential lottery pick in the future is not a bad way to start over or to start from fresh. But that is who I think are the teams that should look into Fultz. Like I said, his value isn't very high, but if he's open to being honest with these other teams and telling them exactly what's going on with the shooting mechanics, a trade can happen a lot sooner than we think. But in the end, what do you guys think? What should Philly do with Fultz? Should they just give him a shot and see what happens? They already guaranteed next year his contract, his team option for next year, so he's going to have a contract next year. So what happens? What do you do? Let me know in the comments. Please tell me what you guys are thinking. As always, Thank you for listening. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. I always enjoy your guys' feedbacks. I love interacting with you guys. What should I do next in terms of video? Let me hear your voice. Thank you for your time, and as always, this has been the Get Real Podcast. Thank you.